Welcome to Filling Out a Lease with Aborn Powers Management. In this video, we'll review how to fill out a lease correctly. Now you have a lease agreement pulled up in front of you, and the first field is for the landlord. You'll type in the owner's name, and in the next field, you'll list the names of the residents who will be signing this agreement. Now you'll enter the address for the property they'll be moving into. And below that, there are some AB 1482 disclosures that you'll need to know depending on the type of property. The field we selected is for single-family homes, but option C will be for multifamily homes. Make sure you know exactly which one applies to the property that this is. Now, the term of the agreement can change based on the owner's preferences as well as the type of property. So in this case, we'll be doing a single-family home. The term will be for 12 months, which is what we normally select, beginning on whichever date is the move-in date and ending on whichever date is exactly 1 year from the time of the move-in date. Now below on the rent, again, this is something that's determined by the owner under normal circumstances. However, we do require that all rent is paid on the first of the month for all of our properties. Now for our prorated rent section, it's important to remember that upon move-in, we take a full month of rent regardless of the move-in date. However, if they move in on any day other than the first, their second month, or their first of the month, they'll pay their prorated amount for the partial month that they moved into. Now, if this tenant were to move in on the 15th of the month, they would pay $2,000 for their first month, followed by $1,000 on February 1st, followed by a full $2,000 on March 1st. But since this tenant is moving in on the first of the month, we'll delete all of this for now. For the payment methods section, our business hours for making payments are between the hours of 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m., and we go through and select all weekdays. The acceptable methods of payment are all options except cash. And then under rent payee and location, we'll list Aborn Powers. Then we'll list our address and our phone number. Under security deposit, this is another example of something that's generally determined by the owner. However, what we've found is that keeping it close to 1 full month's rent is generally acceptable to all parties. And deposits are required at the time of move-in in the form of money order or cashier's check. Now, utilities are another option that depends on how the property operates. We want to make sure that we select all applicable utilities that the tenant is responsible for, and we generally require that they have their electricity and water changed into their name at the time of move-in. For late fees, if the rent is paid after the 6th of the month, which is normal for our company, the late charge will be roughly 6% of the monthly rent. In this case, that's $120. The service charge for a bounced check is $25, and we always check no on this one because we do not take co-signers. Under occupants, you'll list the names of all tenants who plan on inhabiting the premises, including their birth dates. Now for guests, we generally stick to the rule of no more than 10 consecutive days and a total of 30 days in a 12-month period. Now for the section Service of Process and Notices, you'll make the selection Agent, and you'll enter Aborn Powers, as well as our telephone number and address. And then for persons authorized to manage the premises, you'll also list us. Now, if this is a multifamily property, such as an apartment complex, there may be an on-site manager whose name can be printed in this field. They may also have a dedicated phone number that's available, and their address can be listed as well. For renter's insurance, we require all of our tenants to provide renter's insurance at the time of move-in, and the coverage can vary depending on the type of property. Often it's between $100,000 and $500,000 depending on the type. Usually we provide 2 sets of keys for the premises, but if there are more, it's important to make that note. Again, parking is one of those options that is selected by the owner or may be property dependent, as well as storage and landscaping. These are important things to know before starting the lease. For the sake of safety, cleanliness, we select no smoking for all of our properties as well. And under prohibitions, we make sure that we also include non-operational vehicles, as those generally provide a risk. For the bed bugs section, we're going to leave our name and our phone number as the party that the tenant is required to contact in the event of any sort of infestation. Now, if the property is in a flood hazard area, that's something you'll need to know and make sure that the tenant is aware of. And we generally will not select the box under attorney's fees. Now, this series of checkboxes is regarding all of the addendums that you'll be including with your lease, which will be presented in a different video for you to view. Below that is where your tenant will sign, date, and then you will follow up by signing under individual signing for landlord. And then we're going to include our name, Aborn Powers, under management company. Now, included in all standard leases is the AB 1482 addendum. Make sure all of these fields are filled out correctly. The date will not auto-populate, but the rest will. And below that, once again, make sure that you're informed about what 1482 includes so that you can make the appropriate selections depending on the type of property that you are managing. There are fields to sign and date for the tenants as well as you for the landlord. And now you'll want to print out and review your lease and make all necessary signatures.